Hi there, I'm Adam Brown, and this is the first of several videos that will focus on the issue of online identity. I thought I'd start off this vlog with the first couple of minutes of my very first teaching video, which back then I was calling a me lecture.
Things change quickly these days. Growing up now is a lot different from growing up all those years ago in the small country town of Kyneton. There's no more running around in the backyard for us. Not that we actually did very much of that given that we had a Nintendo, but still. I grew up in different times, when we didn't have Facebook to lean on and clothing was much more fashionable. We didn't have a laptop or an iPad or a mobile phone. I didn't even send my first email until I started uni in 2001. Yet even without these things, I would say I had a happy childhood. There were still the usual pressures, of course, like worrying about how sexy you looked to impress the several people you had a crush on, or mowing lawns to help feed the family. But the idea could never have occurred to us that there would one day be things that would let you chat for free to a friend overseas, or make videos that anyone could watch, or things that could keep an eye on you when you least expect it. I think back to my childhood fetish for dinosaurs and wonder whether all the books I've kept in boxes for years and years should have been recycled long ago. Has learning about stuff by reading become outdated? Are books just boring? Don't listen to her, she can't read. But when I'm waiting for my plane at the airport, can't I just eat my burger without being bombarded with QR codes promising to entertain me while I eat? Can't I just enjoy my food? Social media is now integrated everywhere, to the extent that we might find ourselves liking things before we actually think about whether we like them or not. And cameras permeate our world to the point that we probably just don't even see them anymore. They can be benevolent, of course, and might only catch us out every now and then in a slightly awkward moment. At other times, their function can be more ominous. There are so many questions. Why, on a recent trip to the Gold Coast with my brother and sister, did they ignore the flat-screen TV in our room and instead watch programs on their mobile devices? And why, when looking for King Tut's putt-putt to play some mini-golf, did they go straight to Google Maps rather than ask someone who lived close by for directions? They were actually using their phones like this, even though they're overacting for us here. What does this tell us about ourselves? Have we changed so much? Have our previous identities just floated away in one of David Bowie's bubbles while making our way through the labyrinth of digital culture? The big question is, are we no longer the same people we were?
I've called this video meMedia or iRobot, as one really broad and fascinating debate that's connected to the theme of online identity is the debate over whether or not digital and social media have fundamentally altered us in any way as human beings. On one side you've got people like Jaron Lanier, who argue that technological innovation has made us into automatons, whose freedom and agency are being destroyed. Whereas others like David Gauntlet put more emphasis on the power of the online world to enable and enhance individual creative self-expression. It's interesting that in the opening minutes of that first teaching video, this debate seemed to almost intuitively be the key issue that I went to when I was really just trying to engage people. Those minutes really do encapsulate a lot relating to learning about and with digital media generally, in terms of how media is interacted with and what it says about us as much as it says about it. It's a complex debate and not really one I want to delve into by myself here. You've probably got a sense of where my perspective lies from previous videos. In any unit I teach, I encourage students to work towards building a dynamic social media presence by creating content and getting active in different ways online. This reflects the meMedia part of this video's title. And if you'd like a slightly uncomfortable academic to explain what I mean by this to you, meMedia is
the idea of producing and distributing content by individuals on YouTube, by Facebook, Vimeo, Twitter, on people's blogs. And often that content focuses on the individual.
Now this doesn't just mean talking and writing about yourself. People can be visible in certain ways without even identifying themselves. but it does gesture to the important fact that in a lot of media content these days, particularly content that seemed to be authentic, compelling, and worthy of attention, the person is now an intrinsic part of the media produced. In a very real sense, in a lot of different contexts, we are now the product. I've heard lots of people be quite dismissive in past years of the idea of having a personal brand, but opposition to this idea has diminished over time. Having a strong online presence and portfolio can be immensely valuable for students and even people already working in industry. And a necessary step toward achieving this is always networking and getting active. And on that note, it's time for another edition of Speaking Frankly. Hi there, I'm Adam, this is Frank, and today on Speaking Frankly, we're going to be talking a little bit about getting active online. Now, I thought I'd start with a story from a few years ago when I was interacting with a group of students. This was part of a digital media unit. It's all about content creation, sharing things across a unit hashtag, and using real-world social media platforms. And this student asked out loud in front of the whole group, "Why should I bother posting anything online when I'm just a drop in the ocean?" And it was a really powerful statement, and it did put me on the spot, but I was really glad that the student asked it. And I responded to the group of students who were no doubt mostly feeling the same way, that everyone is essentially a drop in the ocean. And spinning the metaphor around, that's actually a great thing about social media, that you can be part of a community. The main point here is social media anxiety is a real thing, and it's important to think about and reflect on. And anxiety is not just about posting the wrong thing or maybe having someone else post the wrong thing back to you, but it's more often than not anxiety about not having an audience, about not being noticed and not being listened to. And the great thing, the really special opportunity that students have when studying with the unit hashtag on Twitter is that they do have a guaranteed audience for a set period of time of students and peers who will be watching for what they might do. Maybe they're not always participating at first, but they'll be watching to see what others do, and then maybe they'll get inspired and motivated to do something in return. And that's a really great opportunity that students have got, and I hope that all students that I have really do embrace that opportunity and the potential benefits of social media there. Often learning with social media is about stepping outside your comfort zone, and you can take small steps, but make sure you do take those steps. Do you have anything to add to that, Frank? I think Frank agrees. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to leave a comment down below and subscribe to this channel to get updates about future videos. You can also find me on my blog Digital Zones, my Facebook page Digital Zones, on Twitter I'm Digital Zones, on Instagram I'm Digital Zones, and on Snapchat I'm the amateur magician who should probably keep his day job.